So Chef Michael with Part-Time Permies, and we're in the middle of our cooking demonstration for preparing for a holiday feast using primarily local items. Right now we're getting hyper-local. We are working with Goose. This is sort of the highlight of our demo. This is our goose. This was an extra one that's not part of our guard flock. This bird's in pretty good shape. It was about 8 pounds? I don't remember exactly. It's not an overly large goose by any means. It's on the smaller side. This is a female, we believe. You can buy a bigger commercial goose. This has been just fed on our local feed and from the feed store, the stuff that he acquires and grinds himself, and then whatever else that was foraging in the yard. So goose is a lot like preparing a duck. In fact, I would just treat it like a duck, a big duck. The meat's going to be a little on the darker side, but shouldn't be particularly strong. Great for stock, wings, everything else. You can render all the fat out. The big fat pieces can be rendered out earlier, although we're going to crisp them up. And it would be great for cooking with it. You can brine them, do an overnight brine or a couple day brine.
And why do you tuck the wings back?
Well, gets them out of the way. 2 reasons. One, I want to get a nice even browning on the breast. The other thing I want to do is create a nice resting. It's almost like its own rack, so I don't have to worry about doing much on it. Basically what I'm going to do here is I'm just letting it kind of relax, checking that it's thawed out. It is. I'm going to put, instead of a brine, I'm going to put some salt on it and some pepper and just let it sit overnight. We're not going to cook it till the afternoon, and just let it give a quick cure. Again, the meat is not that thick, so I'm concerned about over brining it actually. And we're going to roast it to near well done. So this is always fresh ground pepper. Grind it in your coffee mill, then put rice in your coffee mill. Get the pepper flavor out so you don't have pepper coffee. Although I know a few people put a little bit of pepper in their coffee. But anyways, grind some white rice dry in there. That'll take out any of your heavy spices that you don't want in your coffee or changing spices up. And that'll clear it out. You can also clear your coffee out from your pepper, but if I just touch up coffee and the pepper, I don't seem to notice it. So fresh ground pepper, big difference. You get flavor. It's strong, use half as much, but it'll give you flavor instead of just heat. So I'm just going to rub it heavily with salt. A lot of this salt's going to fall off in the cooking process, so it's going to draw moisture out over the next few hours and cause it, pool in the bottom of the pan. We'll probably throw some onions, some vegetable. I don't want to put too much in here because I don't want it to, it just doesn't roast if you put too much in. Put some fresh thyme in here. So there's a lot of ways you can quick dip and blanch this. The skin to crisp it up. That's our Asian, preparing it for like a Peking duck or a Beijing duck style. You can, some people steam it for a little bit. They blow air underneath the skin, get it all crispy. Some people start and they cook side, top. There's a lot of methods on cooking geese and ducks, and I think they're probably more important than a turkey. As many methods as there are turkeys, it's probably a little more important, but I'm just going to cook it pretty standard. I'll probably tie it up, put some vegetables in there. I'll check and re-rub it. But right now we're heavily seasoned. I'm going to let it air dry. Just leave it in the cooler, in the refrigerator overnight, current status, and just let it air dry and get a little bit of natural cure on it. We're doing a turkey also because that goose isn't going to feed very many people, and some people won't eat goose. And
we have 10 people who are
and some people won't eat stuff that might have walked around our property. So we got a 17-pound turkey, just kind of a medium-sized guy, not too big. A lot of it's similar. First of all, they've got it all bound up in this, which is typical. Pull the stuff out. Check the back end. Which is not the back end, it's the front end. Can't tell you how many times we had cooks
Leave the
cook
giblets.
the turkey with the baggie in the other end. I didn't know. They're carving along and they got a baggie falling out on a carving station. So here's the tail, Pope's nose. And we got gizzard. Gizzard's cut open clean. Got a little bit of liver, got a heart, got neck. We will use all of these things except for the liver probably to make to roast with it or make gravy. Actually, I'm not roasting with it because we're smoking it. So I'll probably roast them to make gravy. The liver I like, but it's a little stronger flavored, so we'll avoid that. This has been brine. This is commercial turkey. We didn't do anything too special on it, so this is good. Find these big fat things, get rid of those guys. It's been brined, so I would typically brine a turkey for 2 to 3 days, put it in a small garbage can or a small 5-gallon bucket. If it's cool enough outside, under 40 degrees, but not frozen hard, I just leave it in a cool area where animals aren't going to get to it. And I would inject it a little bit and I'd make a salt, sugar, herb brine, real simple, dry herbs. Leave it there. This case it's already brine, not worried about it. So I'm evaluating it. I'm just kind of making sure all the pieces are there. And when I pull it apart, it's kind of a sucking noise, it's all been shrink wrapped up and let it relax a little bit. A big flap here. Take the neck down really deep on these. So I could trim, actually I probably will because we're not going to stuff the end of that. I could trim off a big chunk of fat, it's just going to burn up. And similar to the goose, I'm going to tack the wings back into a sunbathing position. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're on vacation. So, and then I am going to still lightly season this, even though it's been brined. I would let it dry down, but we're going to leave it in the fridge to dry and form what's called a pellicle. All those brining juices and natural juices will get a little bit sticky and help attract the smoke. I'm not going to put a lot of junk on this. I'm just going to season it. I'm going to get up about 5:30 in the morning, turn on the smoker. We've got a temperature controlled pellet smoker, so it's pretty easy to use as long as it doesn't jam up and stop, which occasionally happens, or blow out when it gets really, really cold out, but we don't have any of those issues. All right, we've got some bay leaves. Just got some dry bay leaves, so classic, throw a few in the cavity. Bay leaves are strong, but and a little pepper. So we're going to smoke this for 5 to 6 hours on it. Get it fully cooked. We're going to hot smoke it. I'm going to cheat and put some silly, make it look Cajun-y. This is some mesquite flavored celery seed and garlicky, and I don't know, it smells good. It's commercial turkey, it's commercial brine.
Smells like barbecue chips.
Smells like barbecue chips before you even stuck it in the smoker. So nobody's gonna complain. Basically, don't mess around with this stuff too much because salt, pepper, garlic and onion powder work pretty good. Better in the brine because they can burn, especially on hot roast, and this is slower roasting. Fresh herbs, light other stuff, but the more you mess with it, the more it'll get funky on you. So I'm gonna put this on in the refrigerator. I'm gonna just let it dry out also. There's a lot to be said for brining, but then there's also a lot to be said for drying, letting things dry out and concentrate. Opposite approaches to getting flavor and tenderness. So this will go on at 5:30, probably about 6 hours. I'll put it on really early. It's fine if it finishes early. We can always reheat it. Goose, I'm going to run it hot. Probably going to render it at about 400 degrees for a little bit, and then I'll turn the temperature down on it. That will probably run an hour and a half. I mean, a full cooked duck is usually an hour, hour and 15 minutes. It's not going to be much more than that, but you know, that's without having a rarer to temp breast, because I need to cook down the legs and get them tender. Alternatively, I can cut the breasts off, but they're so small it's not going to be worth it, and then keep cooking the legs. A number of things have taken place. We have a turkey that's basically ready. This was a 17-pound turkey, so not too large. This was intended to be smoked, although I got up and had it on the smoker just before 6 in the morning, and it was smoking. Went back to bed for a couple hours, and when I got up it was completely cold. It had cut out. Couldn't get it relit, cleaned everything out. I think my heating probe broke. So we rushed this into the oven. Problem being I only have one oven, so had a little bit of a time crunch, space crunch. So we got it in the oven. It's actually finished because it wasn't that big. So it's not smoky, but it is a properly cooked turkey, just the way we left it yesterday. If you come around to the oven, the goose had to go in after that. That's why we were waiting. The goose is approaching 30 minutes. And so I have it in a roasting pan. It's the same roasting pan we had the turkey in, incidentally. I put some vegetable in to make gravy. We talked about difficult making gravy with the smoking of the turkey. Well, now I have plenty of drippings. So I got some vegetable in there roasting, or the mirepoix. I have the goose at a high heat, 400 degrees, rendering down and starting to get some of the fat out of the top. I just pricked it with a fork or a needle across the skin to try and help release some of that extra fat that's up in here. There is some tin foil that's left from the turkey. I just snaked some tin foil around, and that's a good way to create a roasting rack when you don't have one that fits properly. It's quite key. So I've got some nice juices in here. I may pull the juices off and pull the mirepoix out while the turkey continues to roast.
The goose.
Or the goose. The goose continues to roast. We're going to turn the temperature down on that soon, probably 350. The turkey, we're just going to keep it here. I got in kind of a warm area. I don't have a warming area. I'm used to having lots of ovens and warming boxes or places to throw it that's warm. So I'm just going to leave it up here, and it'll end up going in the oven for maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes at the end. Just put a little heat back on it. All right, we're checking on the goose. Really getting close. I'm looking a little bit at the temperature, 165 for poultry, but honestly I am looking more at has it loosened up. Still a little tight. Trying to reheat and brown everything off. And I am about to pull out the turkey, which is just being browned off, and the sweet potato yams, which we were browning. So we just put a little heat on this. Still warm in the middle, but wanted to get a little exterior heat. All right, so we're gonna carve this bird up real quick. So we're ready to head into the meal. So a couple things, keep up on your dishes. We've done like 2 loads of dishes, one last night, one today. So that keeps you out of trouble, so you can put your dishes and not your pots in. So keep your dishes running and be ready to improvise a little bit. Since our smoker didn't work, we came up pretty much on time. Just a short delay on having to use the oven for 2 birds. So carving the bird up, best thing you can do is just cut the crispy skin. pull the leg and thigh. It should peel off pretty easily. We'll find the joint right down in there. You can actually almost pull it out. Alright. For these, we'll just leave drumsticks. Sometimes people want a drumstick, we can pull the meat off of them later. Alright. Crispy skin, but it's not always the crispiest, so I'll remove that. Just using our fingers because I washed my hands a moment ago. So all I'm going to do is just slice this against the grain a little bit and make it into some pieces that we can I do roll a towel, either put a sheet pan underneath or I roll a towel or two in the front or back. That's just to catch some of the drips. Best way to handle the breast is you can slice it like this or you can slice it like this, but you're eventually going to run into the bone. So if you have the opportunity to slice it in the kitchen like we're doing, what I recommend is take it off the bone completely and then we're going to slice it so we can properly cut it. Just going to follow the down. We get around the wing. This is a medium-sized bird, so this is a 17-pound bird. Skin's nice and crispy, so I'm going to leave that on. And I like to just cut straight down, thin slices, about a 1/4 inch or so. So now we got the loin, tenderloin all together.
We just put this out.
I'm going to put a wing. Okay, somebody wants a wing. I'll leave a wing. And then I'm going to do one more thing. The best part of the bird is right here. It's called the oyster. It's well exercised. It's the attachment to the thigh.
It's on the back.
It's underneath the back, and it's a little concave. And it's super tender, and it moistly cooks and bastes the whole time underneath. So flavor and texture, it's the best piece on the turkey. So we usually save a little bit of that in the kitchen for the cooks. Similarly, take the legs off. Legs are a little, so duck or goose is a little more sturdy. Be a little firmer, but we've cooked this well done. It's fully cooked. It's going to be tender enough. So same thing, we're a little different conformation, but generally the same format. Oh, leg's going to fall off. That's good news. That's what we want. All right. Bones on a goose or a duck are a little tougher than a chicken, so sliding through some of these joints, it's about the same, but you may have a little less tolerance. That's hot. So this, I'm cutting it up even more, smaller pieces. I just want to break it up and maximize it. Same thing. A little fattier, so we're going to watch for our crispy skin and our fatty areas a little bit more. Things render. This did render out pretty nice.
I'll snack on some crispy skin.
That thing's beautiful. It's crispy. Yep, well our thigh meat is tender, which is always the hard part, is getting
Oh my gosh, that is so good.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, I eat ducks. I don't know. I guess being in restaurants, I get my hands on crispy duck and goose and skin more than, but yeah, it's significantly better than chicken or turkey skin.
That is so good.
It's like eating chicharron, little pork cracklings, but even almost better. So
yeah, I'd say better.
Yeah, it's amazing, and you really heavily season it, so you get that fat to render out. So
it's like a potato chip.
Yeah. All right. So I just come around. The joint will release. So watch my Watch the breast meat that I don't pierce into that. These joints are a lot tighter again. This is in between a game bird and a domestic because it's been
Grass-fed
and gets out every day, and you know it's a little bit older than some goslings, but it's not an extremely old bird, so still definitely domestic. But so we want to thank Dwight Eichorn from Eichorn Family Farm. They were the ones who provided us purchased our goose eggs from him. He commercially raises goose and duck and lamb, and gets wonderful eggs, an amazing product. That is an oyster, Christmas oyster. That tastes like goose or duck. I don't taste much difference between goose and duck, honestly. They're both among my favorite proteins to eat. So, all right. Similarly to the turkey, but the breast is very long and shallow. This isn't like we mentioned. I don't feel like it's going to be much bigger than a very large duck breast. They're just shallow and long. So, a lot of bone on this. So, we did cook this well done. Didn't want to mess with doing multiple temperatures today. Tearing it apart because it's a roasted one. I think I got it. Trying to just get tight on that keel bone. That's tenderloin coming off. Tenderloin right here. So we're going to cut this nice and thin, crispy skin. If you can get the wishbone out, you get a straighter line taking the meat off. Breast, there we go. You get a better cut. There we go. Nice. So as you can see, this probably feeds 4 people. As I suggested, unless you're really hungry, it might feed 2 or 3. I don't think you're feeding any more than that. I had a really big goose, commercial goose, quite a few years ago. I estimated it probably fed 6, maybe, and it was way bigger. So, playing lots of geese if you're doing a big event. Playing one for every, I don't know, 3 people, 4 people at most. This skin is pretty well rendered. I am. Okay.
Good.
Goose is
You're cooked. Okay, then you can just sit there. You don't have to eat.
cooked.
You can just sit
Goose
there.
is cooked. Your goose is cooked. Yes.
Cooked and
This is Gus the Goose.
No, it is not. Gus and Lucky are still outside.
Oh, really? They are?
This is
Oh,
Christmas.
that's Christmas.
This is
We
Christmas.
still have Gus.
Gus is with the Silkies. And we did not touch Gus or Lucky.